Hi everyone and welcome to this drawing video. In this video I want to show you how to draw crystals. I really love working on fantasy art and I've been trying it over the past couple of years, and so I wanted to create some crystals that would kind of fit that type of style, kind of imagining that they would be a magical resource in a fantasy world. In terms of the supplies I used, I started off with a mechanical pencil with HB leads for the initial sketch, then I used a Pigma Micron 02 for the inking. Then for the colouring I was using Copic markers, and on top of all this, for the highlights I was using a mixture of a Uni-Ball white ink pen, a white GellyRoll pen, and a white Prismacolor pencil. And I also decided to draw on Greyboard to help make the highlights stand out. But please don't worry about what drawing equipment to use. You can use any coloured pencils or any markers on any type of paper, and you'll be able to create something similar to this. And this is just such a really fun drawing to work on, so there are no specific requirements for equipment. As you can see, I started off by sketching some rough crystal shapes, and then I started to define some angled lines within them, just placing these lines randomly. I added a few larger crystals first, and then I added some smaller crystals around them. Please don't worry about creating any specific shapes or sizes. You can design them however you want, and that's an amazingly fun thing about this. You can just be completely relaxed and just create these awesome and unique shapes. It's super fun. Once I'd refined the sketch enough, it was then time for me to add the pen outlines, and in this case I was using a Pigma Micron 02. I tried not to make the lines too thick. I just wanted them to define the shapes and some of the sharp edges of the crystals. With the outlines completed, it was then time for me to add the colouring, and as I mentioned before, I decided to try Copic markers for this. And after a bit of testing, I decided to use colours like lavender and amethyst for the darker shaded areas around the outside, and then imagining that the light source was shining from in front of the crystals towards the left side, I used a range of colours on the highlighted faces of the crystals, those being ice blue, cerise, buttercup yellow, and light pink. You can choose to use whatever colours you want for a drawing like this, and that's another amazingly fun thing about it. There are so many options. I highly recommend when you start the colouring process that you begin with the light colours first before adding any dark colours, so that you're able to change the colour choice if you need to. This prevents any mistakes being made, and it's always a good idea to work in this way. On top of this colouring, I started adding some highlights with the white Prismacolor pencil, and then followed that up with some thicker highlights with the white ink pens. And this process actually really helps to show the light reflecting off the different faces of the crystals. I found it helpful to add scratches and marks on the crystals with the white pencil to add another layer of detail. And then also, as I was working through this, I also figured out that it was a good idea to add some colour on top of the highlights around the outside edges to fade them a bit, and this really helps to make the bright highlighted faces stand out even more. Eventually, once I'd worked on a bunch of the crystals, I also decided to use a darker colour, and in this case it was Prussian blue, and I used it to add shading between them. I feel like this helped a huge amount by hopefully adding a lot more depth. Towards the end of the drawing, I decided to add a few extra highlights to show the crystals sparkling in the light, and then I also added a few particles floating around them. Then to place the crystals on the page, I made sure to add a little shadow underneath as well. Then after that, this drawing was completed. Overall, it took about 3 hours to complete, and I highly recommend giving this a try. There are so many options in terms of possible shapes and formations, and even in terms of the colour combinations, there are so many possible ideas there as well. And that's why I think this is a great drawing to try. I really hope this video has helped out in some way, and please let me know what you think, and also let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos. If you want to see more art videos like this, then feel free to subscribe, and any likes or shares on this video, they really mean a lot to me. If you want to follow my progress and see photos before I post these videos, then please check out the links in the description box below to check out my Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for the support. I truly appreciate it, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you all soon.